something that I found very interesting in your work is you treating so the concept of infinity. I think it's
Mhm.
really an attractive concept for philosophers in particular. It seems like it's got a lot of explanatory power and it seems like you can explain strange things using it, and the philosophers tend to like paradoxes. But you say nothing real is infinite, and for me, that's a it's a it kind of clicked. Something clicked when you said that, and it makes like, so we're dipping into metaphysics now. So to me, it makes metaphysics more real in a way. It makes things more logical and rational and just real if you go with the idea that, okay, so nothing real is infinite. This also kind of bleeds into your concept of using a theory of time. Time is linear. There's not, everything's not happening all at once. So to me, um, and it also has something to do with, in religions, they often think of God as perfect
Mhm.
or omnipotent. It could do anything.
Right.
Your concept of the larger consciousness system is it's finite, it's
Mhm.
imperfect, and it's evolving, which I also find makes it, to me, more of a real thing.
Right.
I wonder if you could just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's really a simple idea, and that in mathematics, infinity is a place you can never get to, right? You can only approach infinity, but you can never get there, because if you ever got there, you could always add one to it, then you'd have something bigger. Well, that would be impossible because infinity is as big as it can get. You could always take whatever number you thought infinity was and you could square it, multiply times itself, or raise it to the 10th power. So there is no infinity that you can get to, as long as, if you're talking about something real, something that is like consciousness is real. A brick is a virtual reality, but within that virtual reality, you've got rule set. And within that rule set, you don't have infinities either. You can't have an infinitely long brick. It's just impossible, because you can always stick another little more bits of brick material on the end of it. If somebody ever got to the point and said, okay, you finally made it, that's infinite, oh, you could just stick another little piece onto the end of it. Now you'd have something bigger than infinite, which is impossible. That's the definition of infinite. Infinite is there's nothing can be bigger than infinite. So infinite just keeps growing to the point that infinite isn't defined. You see, infinite is not a real thing. It's an idea. It's a concept. It's something we can think about, and in the sense that we move toward it but can never get there. So it's a thing you can approach, but you can't get there. And that is the way you get infinity in mathematics. As this approaches infinity, that value goes to such and such, because you've got you've got some sort of thing that gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So as you go to infinity, it equals zero. That sort of idea. So that's the way mathematics takes it, and that always seemed to me to be rational. Now, when you talk about things that are really big, we use infinity as a metaphor. One of my favorite analogies there is, you're sitting in an inner tube in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and every direction it looks the same. Water, waves, water everywhere. And you've been there for a month floating around in this inner tube, and the view in every direction stays the same. You might think that you were in an infinite sea of water, because from your viewpoint, it is infinite. You cannot find anything else in any direction, no matter how hard you go or how much you paddle or how fast your engine is or whatever. You just can't. But you see, it only appears infinite. If you really had a fast engine, in a week or two, you could find land. Or if you could just live there long enough to where the currents took you someplace, you'd find land. it's not really infinite. It just appears to be that way. Well, anything real has to be finite. It cannot be infinite because an infinite is impossible. Anything infinite is impossible just by the definition of infinite. So that's, I guess I was kind of biased to that viewpoint because I came up through mathematics. And in mathematics, that's obvious. That you don't get a number that's infinite because you can always square it if you want to, whatever that number is. You never get to infinity. It can't exist, just a concept. So because I came up through math like that, then it was easy for me to see that that applies to everything. Infinite isn't a place, isn't a real thing. It makes a good metaphor when something's really, really big. Then we can say, oh, it's infinite, but it's not true. That's not a fact. That's an exaggeration to make a point that it's really, really big. We say that all the time. Like let's say we have 9 billion people here on the planet, and all the possible interactions of those 9 billion people are infinite. We just say that because how many different ways can 9 billion people interact with each other? Well, each one could interact by probably 10,000 different ways. So you could do the math, but it's not infinite. That's the problem. It's not infinite, but we say that because it's really so big that we can't imagine it. We can't think about it. We can't compute it. So we say it's infinite. But that's just a metaphor. It's not math. It's not a fact. It's just an exaggeration or hyperbole that we use to make a point of it's beyond our ability to deal with it or to think about it. I and MBT Events hope you liked this video. We will continue to post videos for free on my YouTube channel, but please understand, these videos are expensive to produce. They represent many thousands of hours of production and editing, as well as all the necessary audiovisual equipment, computers, and software. If you find something of significant value in our videos, please consider supporting their production through our Patreon account or through a one-time donation. It would be very much appreciated. The links are in the description below. Thank you.